Black Americans have been the only real diehard Americans here, because we're the only ones who carried the process through the process. That everyone else has to sort of like skip stages. We're the ones who marched, we're the ones who carried the Bible, we're the ones who carried the flag, we're the ones who tried to go through the courts. And being born American didn't seem to matter. Because we were born Americans, but we still had to fight for what we were looking for. And we still had to go through those channels and those processes.
I don't really care what you have to say. Facts over fiction is the motto replay. Muhammad Ali came up from the clay. Grassroots built up this USA. Now knowing your history, you'll get played. Equip yourself cause we came to slay any opponent that's up in our way. Look at Malcolm X and his delivery.
Test 1 2, test 1 2. Just make sure my audio is good before we continue. Test 1 2, test 1 2. Just make sure my audio is good before we continue. All right, we are good. All right, family. Hope everyone is doing well on this Friday. TGIF. Been quite busy. I was supposed to go on exactly on at 5, but you know how that goes. Sometimes stuff just happens and gotta take care of it, right? I did, and we are here. This is Me and the Mass Media Group. Always appreciate your time. So we're gonna, go over some things today, and I'm sure a lot of people have heard about Charlie Kirk. So we're not actually gonna go too in depth about that, but just kind of like the aftermath and what's happening regarding that. But anyway, today's topic is titled America's Scapegoat, and more particular is Black Americans, America's Scapegoat. All right, a little housekeeping. If you have a chance, if you haven't already, go to etnmediagroupstore.com. That's etnmediagroupstore.com. Help support what we're doing. We'd greatly appreciate it. And if you do shop on Amazon, it's in the description. Go hit us up there. It's free. And you can help support what we're doing as well. And working on reparations part 2. So that's coming up in 2026. A lot's going on. We need to go through probably and see what bills have passed regarding the CLBC out here in California. And they're calling it the road to repair, not reparations. They're calling it the road to repair. So we're currently collecting all that information. Bills actually should be, most of the bills are on the governor's desk to sign. For the bills that are quote unquote priority for the CLBC. So we're compiling that information right now, and we'll be disseminating that to the family soon, but we're still compiling that information. All right, because there's still some things in the background that are happening. So we just need to confirm that we have all the correct information. All right. And also reparations, the documentary. Go to Tubi or go to reparationsnow.com. That's reparationsnow.com. scape.com as well to go check it out there if you have yet to check it out. All right. So yes, the topic today is America's scapegoat. Let's go check out some videos, and then we will get into it. All right, let's go.
And we take comfort in the knowledge that he is now at peace with God in heaven.
Investigators say this was a political assassination. Conservative activist Charlie Kirk was shot and killed from a single shot on Wednesday afternoon.
Charlie was a patriot who devoted his life to the cause of open debate.
The 31-year-old father of two was debating students, with Utah the first stop on his The American Comeback Tour. He asked students to debate him and prove me wrong. And conservatives credit Kirk for turning young people toward President Trump during the 2024 election.
There's never been anyone who was so respected by youth.
We ought to be able to debate and have dialogue and go to college campuses without fear.
Republicans and Democrats condemned the latest instance of political violence in the U.S. Former Congresswoman Gabrielle Giffords, who was wounded in a 2011 shooting, wrote, "The murder of Charlie Kirk breaks my heart." She added, attacks against political or ideological opponents are cowardly and un-American.
Are we going to do something about this or not? We have a political assassination that happened at the same time as a school shooting.
All right, let's play another clip. Here we go.
You have no idea the fire that you have ignited within this wife. The cries of this widow will echo around the world like a battle cry.
Overnight, Charlie Kirk's widow speaking out for the first time since her husband's assassination Wednesday.
I want to thank the first responders who struggled heroically to save Charles's life. I will never, ever have the words to describe the loss that I feel in my heart.
Erica Kirk choking back tears, standing beside Charlie's desk at his Turning Point USA headquarters, describing his commitment to his work and his family, including their two children.
Charlie loved his children, and he loved me with all of his heart, and I knew that. Every day I knew that.
And pledging her own commitment to upholding Kirk's legacy. And new details this morning about the urgent 33-hour manhunt that led to the arrest of the man police say was behind Kirk's brutal murder in broad daylight. Kirk was speaking at an event here at Utah Valley University.
We got him.
Authorities taking 22-year-old Tyler Robinson into custody around 10 p.m. local time Thursday night, more than 3 hours away from the university in St. George, Utah.
A family member of Tyler Robinson reached out to a family friend who contacted the Washington County Sheriff's Office with information that Robinson had confessed to them or implied that he had committed the incident.
Sources telling ABC News the suspect's father recognized him in these photos and told his son to turn himself in. They say he initially said no, but then changed his mind. Social media appears to show his family enjoyed hunting. He comes from a Mormon middle-class family. His mother, a social worker. His father owned a kitchen countertop business. Keaton Brooksby has known the suspect since middle school.
I knew his family had firearms. I knew he shot all the time. There was pictures all over his family's Facebook of him with firearms.
Friends and classmates described the suspect as intelligent but reserved.
The last summer, I ran into him at a grocery store. He was a little bit more anxious than I remember.
Utah Governor Spencer Cox saying the suspect had recently become more political and had brought up Kirk's scheduled visit to Utah Valley University at a family dinner.
They talked about why they didn't like him and the viewpoints that he had.
The governor revealing the suspect allegedly communicated on the messaging app Discord with his roommate, including needing to recover a rifle from a bush. Authorities retracing the suspect's steps, saying he arrived at the campus in his Dodge Challenger at 8:29 a.m. and appeared to walk with a stiff right leg. Law enforcement sources telling ABC News they believe he was hiding the weapon under his clothing. Moments after the shooting, you can see him sprinting off the roof and dropping down to the ground. This morning, a growing memorial here at the UVU campus as this community and nation reels from the latest act of political violence.
Regardless of if you agreed with his opinions or disagreed with his opinions, you know, like having something like this happen here, there's no words for that.
The Utah County Attorney will be reviewing evidence over the next few days and is expected to bring charges as early as next week. Gio.
All right, powerful words there from Erica Kirk. Thank you so much, Jacqueline.
All right, so I just want to play a few clips. I'm probably pretty sure most people are aware of the incident, what happened, but I just wanted to put everything in context before we moved on. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. All right. Charlie Kirk's last words were about mass shootings. Here's what he said. All right, this comes from mlive.com. All right. No one understood or had the heart of the youth in the United States of America better than Charlie, Trump posted on his Truth Social account. All right, this article continues. Kirk was speaking at a debate hosted by his nonprofit political organization. Immediately before the shooting, Kirk was taking questions for an audience member about mass shootings and gun violence. Do you know how many transgender Americans have been mass shooters over the last 10 years? An audience member asked. Kirk responded, too many. The questionnaire followed up. Do you know how many mass shooters there have been in America over the last 10 years? Question. Counting or not counting gang violence? Kirk said, and a single shot ran out. All right. Utah Valley University said the campus was immediately evacuated and remained closed. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and share this article with you. The reason why, let's see here, I'll bump this up here. All right, I think this is good. Okay, here we go. Now, after that aftermath, it looks like J.D. Vance had something to say about Charlie Kirk as well. All right. People who celebrate the killing of conservative influencer Charlie Kirk should be held accountable, U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance has said. Quote, call them out and hell, call their employer, end quote. Vance said as he guest hosted an episode of the Charlie Kirk show, we don't believe in political violence, but we do believe in civility. Pilots, medical professionals, teachers, and one Secret Service employee are among those who have been suspended or sacked for social media posts that were deemed inappropriate about Kirk's death. All right. It goes on to say critics have argued the firings threaten free speech and employee protections. Although U.S. companies have wide latitude to terminate employees, Vance's comments aired on Monday in an episode of The Charlie Kirk Show, a daily podcast that Kirk hosted before he was shot in the neck last Wednesday while hosting a debate at Utah Valley University. All right. So let's see. Speaking of employees, there is Jimmy Kimmel and ABC. All right, Jimmy Kimmel show, for those that don't know, was pulled by ABC after comments about the Charlie Kirk killing. All right, this article is written September 17th by NPR. Last night has lost another host after ABC announced Wednesday Jimmy Kimmel's suspension following comments he made earlier the week regarding speculation swirling around the suspect in the killing of right-wing activist Charlie Kirk. An ABC spokesperson told NPR Wednesday evening that Jimmy Kimmel Live will be preempted indefinitely. Kimmel is the second late night host to be knocked off air. A few months ago, CBS announced it would not be bringing back The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. CBS said the decision was purely a financial one, but it coincided with a lawsuit filed by President Trump involving CBS News that was eventually settled in the sale of CBS parent company that needed approval from the Federal Communications Commission. The timing raised suspicions from media watchers. Kimmel's removal comes after FCC Chairman Brendan Carr condemned Kimmel's recent monologue during an interview with YouTuber Benny Johnson. In that interview, Carr threatened to pull licenses from ABC affiliates who continue to broadcast Jimmy Kimmel Live. Carr told Johnson, "It's really sort of past time that a lot of these licensed broadcasters themselves push back on Comcast and Disney to say, listen, we're going to preempt. We aren't going to run Kimmel anymore until you straighten this out, because we licensed broadcasters are running the possibility of fines or license revocations from the FCC if we continue to run content with a pattern of news distortion." News Star Media, an operator of 32 ABC stations, later announced that its ABC-affiliated stations will stop airing Jimmy Kimmel Live indefinitely. Starting Wednesday night, Nexstar also is under scrutiny for its desired merger with Tegna Incorporated for $6.2 billion. It too needs FCC approval. Nexstar's broadcasting president Andrew Alford said in a statement that Kimmel's comments do not reflect the values of the communities the company serves. He added that pulling the show is intended to promote, quote, respectful, constructive dialogue, end quote, during a sensitive political moment. On Monday night, Kimmel commented on the assassination of Charlie Kirk in his monologue, saying, quote, "We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it," Kimmel said. There has been no clear motive disclosed in Kirk's killing, and investigators continue to dig into the background of the suspect argued in the case. Okay. Right. So yeah, this is very interesting because I'm not going to go into what Charlie Kirk actually said about Black Americans, because I think that's been drug out to ad nauseum, through social media. But it's interesting how, certain people can have the First Amendment and the freedom of speech, and how others, for some reason, it's critiqued and their licenses gets pulled because of freedom of speech and freedom of press. All right. Actually, let's move on to the main topic, which we wanted to talk about scapegoating, in particular, Black Americans. So I did want to show some instances where we've been scapegoated. But you know what? Actually, before that, and I know people have already, heard about the HBCUs, but let's go into that. Let me pull up an article real quick, family. All right. Okay, so here's an article in the USA Today. All right. Click off that. All right. Let me just double check if my audio is okay, family. And I'll go read this article. Thank you for your patience. Please like, share, and subscribe. Greatly appreciate it. Hit that bell for notifications. Audio's okay, family. All right, audio is good. All right. So multiple HBCUs under lockdown after receiving terrorist threats. Now, just remind you, okay, just want to remind the audience that the historically Black college universities had nothing to do with the shooting in Utah, which was a predominantly white attended campus. All right. Nothing to do with nothing. However, after the HBCUs received terrorist threats. All right. Multiple HBCUs under lockdown after receiving terrorist threats. All right. Multiple historically black colleges and universities or HBCUs have gone into lockdown after threats were directed at the campus, school officials announced. Alabama State University, Hampton University, Virginia State University, Southern University, and A&M College and Bethune-Cookman University locked down the morning of Thursday, September 11th, each citing potential threats made against the campuses. The lockdown at Southern University was later lifted, but all campus activities and classes were canceled through the weekend. School officials announced and faculty to avoid campus and increase security measures due to a threat against nearby Clark Atlanta University. Though the shelter-in-place order was later lifted, Clark Atlanta University confirmed in a statement to USA Today that campus police are investigating threats and a shelter-in-place order was ended. All right, let me see. Okay, make sure that my okay. Let me continue here. Let's see. All right. Okay. Virginia State shared an urgent alert at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard, declaring the campus closed and advising students, faculty, and staff to check their emails. Campus police are actively investigating the credibility of the threat received earlier today, along with local, state, and federal law enforcement partners, the university said in a statement. Alabama State told USA Today in a statement that it received terrorist threats and that it had shut down campus operations out of an abundance of caution. All right, so the article goes on. It talks about Hampton University and Florida A&M University shutting down as well. All right. So basically, lockdowns at many of the HBCUs were held after, the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Actually, I wasn't going to talk about the HBCUs, but I just wanted to put everything in its context because I think that's a good segue in terms of how Black Americans, for some reason, even if we don't have anything to do with it, for some reason, we happen to be the scapegoat of things. All right. If anybody has an idea why, please let me know in the chat. But just pass along the information here. All right. Let's go to something that happened in history. And this was definitely a big scapegoat. Okay. I don't know for those who like movies and TV and so forth. You guys remember the actor, or I think he's still acting, Liam Neeson? Yes, Liam Neeson. So Liam Neeson in a racism storm after admitting he wanted to unalive a black man. All right, this is from the BBC. Actor Liam Neeson is facing a major criticism storm after admitting he once set out to unalive an innocent black man. He said he walked the streets with a weapon for a week years ago, hoping to take out his anger after someone close to him was raped by a black man. I guess allegedly. The Hollywood star said he was ashamed of his actions, but his remarks have sparked widespread outrage. Neeson hasn't commented further since the interview was published by The Independent on Monday. He was speaking to promote his new film, Then, Cold Pursuit, a thriller about a man who seeks retribution after his son is unalived. Asked how his character turns to anger, the actor replied that something primal kicks in when someone close to you is the victim of violence. He said, God forbid you've ever had a member of your family hurt under criminal conditions. I'll tell you a story. This is true. Neeson said that the alleged rape took place a long time ago and he found out about it when he came back from a trip abroad. The actor went on to use racially offensive language about the attacker. He said, quote, she handled the situation of the rape in the most extraordinary way, but my immediate reaction was, I asked, did she know who it was? No. What color were they? She said it was a black person. I went up and down areas with a Kosh, hoping I'd be approached by somebody. I'm ashamed to say that, and I did it for maybe a week, hoping some, uses air quotes with fingers, black, bastard, would come out of a pub and have a go at me about something, so that I could unalive him. Neeson has been subject to huge criticism for his comments. The journalist who did the interview, Clements Michelon, told BBC News, anyone hearing the thoughts that he's reporting here would be shocked and appalled in many ways, and he himself says he is ashamed to think of the way he used to think and says it's awful, so of course that shock set in really quickly. In an accompanying article in The Independent, columnist Cuba Shand Baptiste wrote, what immediately struck me when reading about his revelation was how deeply the white supremacist trope of the black brute versus the helpless woman appears to have permeated society. Los Angeles Times columnist Carla Hall wrote that his conduct was despicable, adding that she now wants him to talk about whether he has dealt with whatever racism he still harbors. She wrote, was he a racist or just a tightly wound man capable of vindictive violence? Or was he both? Of course. He was a racist. He was roaming the streets trying to find a random black man to unalive. And he gave every indication of being capable of violence. That's a pretty explosive combination. And his revelation about himself is deeply disturbing. The question is, how much has he changed since then? Question. All right, so here's a Twitter article or a Twitter post or X post here. I'm not actually going to go ahead and read that, but I just wanted to give the people a reminder of Liam Neeson. So let's see. Speaking of actors, do y'all remember this one? Mel Gibson. All right, this was an article posted by Radar Online. Tape captures Gibson's racist rant. All right, so this is an article looks like with his then ex-girlfriend Oksana Grigorieva. It was an audio released purportedly that captured an argument between Mel Gibson and his girlfriend in which she launched into a racist and sexist rant against her. Radar Online released the audio claiming the male voice is that of 54-year-old Gibson. CNN has not independently confirmed the authenticity of the tape and the voices on it. All right, that disclaimer. At one point on the roughly 2-minute tape, the man says, you go out in public and it's a F***ing embarrassment to me. You look like a effing B.I. I think you get the premise. On heat, and if you get great by a pack of N***ERSs, it will be your fault. At the time of this, when this article was written, it says it's unclear when the audio was recorded. Meanwhile, the William Morris Endeavor publicity firm confirmed Friday that Mel Gibson then would no longer be their client. Earlier that week, the Malibu Hills Police Department opened up an investigation into the alleged domestic violence dispute between Gibson and Grigorieva, at the time 40. CNN then did confirm. Gibson has been caught in a custody dispute with Grigorieva over the couple's 8-month-old daughter. Toward the end of that June, Grigorieva, what a last name, filed a restraining order against Gibson, alleging that the actor and director struck her in struck her in the face, People magazine allegedly reported. Police said that they were still in the process of gathering information surrounding Grigorieva's allegations. All right. So another incident which happened in history. Yes, now an ancestor, Mr. Emmett Till. Actually, let me see if I can find. Let me see. Just real quick, family. Appreciate your patience. I'm trying to see if I can find. Because we did a. Let me see if I can find it here. I know we did. Let's see what's wrong. Okay, Till. All right. Anyway, I can't find it. You know what? When I do find it, I'm gonna repost it in the description link. We actually had a chance to interview one of Emmett Till's relatives, Priscilla Till, I believe is her name, on this channel, and that was actually during the time when his accuser, and I can't remember her name at the top of my head, this white woman who accused Emmett Till of, Carolyn Bryant is her name, of doing certain things to her at that particular time. But yes, we had a chance to speak with her, so I'm gonna put that in the description for those that want to actually take a look at the interview that we did with her. But for those that don't remember Emmett Till, first of all, let's say may he rest in peace, may he rest in power, before we read this article. So we do remember you, Emmett Till. All right, here we go. Emmett Lewis Till, born July 25th, 1941, transitioned August 28th, 1955, was an African-American youth who was 14 years old when he was abducted and lynched in Mississippi in 1955 after being accused of offending a white woman, then Carolyn Bryant, in her family's grocery store. The brutality of his murder and the acquittal of his killers drew attention to the long history of violent persecution of African Americans in the United States. Till posthumously, love that word, became an icon of the civil rights movement. All right, I'm just going to read this next couple paragraphs and then we'll move to the next story. Till was born and raised in Chicago, Illinois. During summer vacation in August 1955, he was visiting relatives near Money, Mississippi, in the Mississippi Delta region. Till spoke to 20-year-old Carolyn Bryant, allegedly spoke to Carolyn Bryant, the white married proprietor of a local grocery store. Although what happened at the store is a matter of dispute, Till was accused of flirting with, allegedly touching, or whistling at Bryant. Till's interaction with Bryant, perhaps unwittingly, violated the unwritten code of behavior for a black male interacting with a white female in the Jim Crow era South. Several nights after the encounter, Bryant's husband Roy and his half-brother J.D. Millam, who were armed, went to Till's great-uncle's house and abducted Till at the age of 14. They beat and mutilated him before shooting him in the head and sinking his body in the Tallahatchie River. 3 days later, Till's mutilated and bloated body was discovered and retrieved from the river. Till's body was returned to Chicago, where his mother insisted on a public funeral service with an open casket, which was held at Robert's Temple Church of God in Christ. It was later said that, quote, the open coffin funeral held by Mamie Till Bradley exposed the world to more than her son Emmett Till's bloated, mutilated body. Her decision focused attention on not only American racism and the barbarism of lynching, but also the limitations and vulnerabilities of American democracy. Tens of thousands attended his funeral or viewed his open casket, and images of Till's mutilated body were published in black-oriented magazines and newspapers, rallying popular black support and white sympathy across the United States. Intense scrutiny was brought to bear on the lack of black civil rights in Mississippi, with newspapers around the U.S. critical of the state. Although local newspapers and law enforcement officials initially decried the violence against Till and called for justice, they responded to national criticism for defending Mississippians, giving support to the killers. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and let's see, go to this. All right. So once again, may Emmett Till rest in peace. Let's see if everybody can see this one. List of expulsions of African Americans. All right. African Americans have been violently expelled from at least 50 towns, cities, and counties in the United States. Most of these expulsions occurred in the 60 years following the American Civil War, but continued until 1954. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this does not include redlining. I don't believe they talk about redlining in this article. So let's continue. The justifications for the expulsions varied, but often involved a crime allegedly, let me repeat that again, allegedly. So once again, right, we're talking about scapegoating here. The justifications for the expulsions varied, but often involved a crime allegedly committed by Black Americans, labor-related issues, or property takeovers, i.e. also eminent domain. All right. So here's a list, all right, of some of the expulsions that have happened throughout America in its history. All right, in 1831, we have Portsmouth, Ohio. All 80 Black residents were expelled under Ohio's discriminatory Black laws. I think I got to talk to the team, see maybe sometime next year we can actually do maybe a mini documentary on this. Maybe a mini doc. We might do a full documentary. I don't know if we have time, but so anyway, let's go through this list here. 1831, Portsmouth, Ohio. I'm gonna blow this up a little bit. All 80 Black residents were expelled under Ohio's discriminatory Black laws. 1870s to 1940s, we have Wyandotte, Michigan. African Americans were expelled from Wyandotte on multiple occasions. We have April 13th, 1873, Pollock, Louisiana. Shout out to our folk in Louisiana. The small black population of Pollock left the town after the massacre of more than 100 blacks in nearby Colfax. November 1st, 1878, Salina, Tennessee. Selena's black population left on November 1st, 1878, after being subject to a series of violent actions over the course of several months. We have 1886, Comanche County, Texas. White residents expelled blacks from Comanche County because of alleged crimes committed by black men. 1888 to 1908, Paragould, Arkansas. A number of race riots occurred in Paragould between 1888 and 1908, resulting in most of the town's 150 black residents leaving. Incidences in 1892 at Lexington, Oklahoma, as well as 1893 Blackwell, Oklahoma. We also have June 20th, 1894, Monette, Missouri. Monette's black population was expelled after the lynching of a black man who allegedly unalived a white man during a fight. The Monette expulsion was the first of number of violent expulsions in southwestern Missouri between 1894 and 1906. In 1896, Linton, Indiana, 300 black strike breakers were expelled from the coal mining town of Linton after one of the strike breakers shot a white boy. Eventually, blacks were banned from living in all of Greene County. August 27th, 1897, Elwood, Indiana. November 10th, 1898, Wilmington, North Carolina, a coup d'etat and a massacre which was carried out by white supremacists in Wilmington, North Carolina, United States on Thursday, November 10th, 1898. The white press in Wilmington originally described the event as a race riot caused by black people. Since the late 20th century and further study, the event has been characterized as a violent overthrow of a duly elected government by a group of white supremacists. The number of black people killed by the mob by the end of the day, November 10th, is uncertain. Estimates have included about 20, more than 20 or more, somewhere between 14 and 16, as many as 60, at least 60, 90, more than 100, and exceeded 300. An additional number, variously estimated between 20 and 50, were banished in order to leave town by the mob. Along with Alex and Frank G. Manley, brothers who had owned the Daily Record, one of the few black newspapers in the state, and reportedly only black daily newspaper in the country, more than 2,000 blacks left Wilmington permanently, forced to abandon their businesses and properties. This greatly reduced the city's professional and artisan class and changed the formerly black majority city into one with a white majority. April 10th, 1899, Pana, Illinois. Gun battle between striking white miners and strike breaker black miners results in the deaths of 5 blacks and 2 whites, as well as the expulsion of Pana's black population. September 17th, 1899, we have Carterville, Illinois. A violent shootout occurred between striking white miners and non-union black miners who were brought into Carterville as strike breakers. 5 black miners were killed, all or unalived. All the surviving black miners left Carterville shortly after the riot. All right, that was in the 19th century. In the 20th century, February 20th, 1901, Mena, Arkansas. Most of Mena's black population left the town after a black man named Peter Berryman was lynched for allegedly assaulting a white girl. August 18th, 1901, Pierce City, Missouri. 300 black residents were expelled after white residents lynched 3 black men for allegedly killing a white woman. June 1902, Decatur, Indiana. A mob of 50 men forced black residents out of Decatur. April 16, 1903, Joplin, Missouri. White residents drove out Joplin's black residents following the lynching of a black transient for the murder of a white policeman. July 9th, 1903, Sour Lake, Texas. A mob of 500 white men opened fire on blacks and chased them out of Sour Lake after a break man was shot unalived by a black man. October 1905 and January 1909, Harrison, Arkansas. Race riots in 1905 and 1909 resulted in the expulsion of Harrison's black residents. August 24th, 1906, caught an incident in Cotter, Arkansas. 1908, Marshall County, Kentucky. Whites, led by a local doctor, drove out blacks from the now extinct city of Birmingham and most of the rest of Marshall County. It's in Marshall County, Kentucky. November 1909, Anna and Jonesboro, Illinois. Whites expelled Anna and Jonesboro's 40 black families after the lynching of William Froggy James in nearby Cairo. September 1912, Forsyth County, Georgia. 98% of Forsyth County's 1,000 black residents were expelled after 2 alleged attacks on white women allegedly committed by black men. July 1917, East St. Louis, Illinois. The East St. Louis riots or East St. Louis massacres of late May and July 1st to the 3rd, 1917 were an outbreak of labor and race-related violence by whites that caused the death of 40 to 250 black people and about 400,000 today, which would be 8 million in 2017 US dollars in property damage. An estimated 6,000 black people were left homeless. May 1918, Irwin, Tennessee, a black man was unalived and the entire remaining black population of 131 residents was forced to witness his body being burned, after which they were ordered to leave their homes and were banished from the town. This incident is known as the Irwin expulsion. Fall 1919, Corbin, Kentucky. 200 black workers were forced to leave Corbin during a labor dispute. November 2nd through the 3rd, 1920, Oshie, I think we said this before, Oshawa, Florida. Oshawa's black community was burned to the ground and nearly all of its 500 residents unalived or expelled by whites to prevent blacks from voting and after false rumors of black men unaliving 2 whites. At least 57 blacks were unalived during the massacre. 2 white mob members were shot and unalived in self-defense. May 31st, 1921, the infamous and now well-known Tulsa, Oklahoma. As many as 300 black people were unalived and 10,000 left homeless after whites attacked and destroyed their Greenwood district of Tulsa known as Black Wall Street. 1922, in Jay, Florida, 175 black residents fled town after a death of a white farmer who was shot by a black farmer in self-defense. January 23rd, Rosewood, Florida. Whites attacked and burned down the black Levy County town of Rosewood after a black man allegedly raped a white woman. At least 6 and perhaps as many as 150 black people were killed. 2 white mob members were shot and killed in self-defense. 1923, Blandford, Indiana. The Ku Klux Klan led expulsion. January 3rd, 1924, Manhattan Beach, California. The Manhattan Beach City Council passed Ordinance 263, claiming eminent domain for a public park in order to take properties owned by black residents and eliminate the African-American resort, also known as Bruce's Beach. 1954, Vienna, Illinois. White residents burned down all the black homes of Vienna and nearby areas outside city limits. The expulsion was sparked by the unaliving of an elderly white woman and attempted rape of her teenage granddaughter by 2 black men. Allegedly, and allegedly. 1954, Sheridan, Arkansas. Following the Brown versus Board of Education decision and a reverse decision of the school board to integrate the schools, local sawmill owner Jack Williams threatened to burn down the homes of all his black employees unless they accepted a buyout offer and relocated to Melbourne. All right, now that's just some of them. That's not a full list of some of the expulsions that have happened here in the United States. All right. So, on this channel, what we try to do is try to, give some solutions here. I know we're about close to an hour here in the program. So once again, please like, share, and subscribe. We're actually going to be wrapping up pretty soon. So yeah. So one solution is actually signing the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act of 2021. And also giving specifically a hate crime bill for American freedmen. All right, so this bill is called H.R. 1280, the George Floyd Justice in Policing Act. All right, this bill addresses a wide range of policies and issues regarding policing practices and law enforcement accountability. It increases accountability for law enforcement misconduct, restricts the use of certain policing practices, enhances transparency and data collection, and establishes best practices and training requirements. The bill enhances existing enforcement mechanisms to remedy violations by law enforcement. Among other things, it does the following: lowers the criminal intent standard from willful to knowing or reckless to convict a law enforcement officer for misconduct in a federal prosecution, limits qualified immunity as a defense to liability in a private civil action against a law enforcement officer, and grants administrative subpoena power to the Department of Justice in pattern or practice investigations. All right. Let's see here, because, oftentimes since, we are scapegoated, I'm going to try to find, let's see that article. Here we go. I think I have it. Because, is this it? I think this is it. Okay, here we go. All right. This is it. Because oftentimes, American freedmen, aka Black Americans, are like, oh yeah, you guys always, doing this to the white people, and you guys are doing this to white people, and black on black crime. And anyway, so let's see. This article was written January 26, 2024. All right, by Katharina Buchholz. Based on a new reporting system, the Federal Bureau of Investigation has calculated an increase in hate crimes in the U.S. between 2021 and 2022. Considering all reporting law enforcement agencies in 2022, the FBI counted 11,613 hate crime incidents and 15,306 victims, up from 10,857 and 14,107 respectively in 2021. Looking at all 2022 victims, the majority of them were targeted due to their race or ethnicity, according to the report, with anti-Black crime being the most common offense, comprising 29% of hate crimes by bias. Religion was the next biggest factor, with roughly 17% being victimized because of it, slightly more than for reasons of sexual orientation. Goes on, anti-Jewish and anti-gay hate crimes were the most common. The report concludes that 30% of hate crimes were against property, most commonly vandalism or other damage. All right, so let's see here. Once again, race and ethnicity and ancestry was overwhelmingly the highest hate crime involved. And let's see here. So who bears the hate crimes in the U.S.? Who bears the brunt? Share of respondents who see hate crimes against the following groups in the U.S. as a serious problem. All right, so it says very serious, 36% Jewish people, 29% somewhat serious. Black people, 34%, somewhat serious, 29%. Muslim, 30%, 29%. Arab, 27%, 28%. Christians, 18%, 19%. White people, 16%, 16%. All right, so let's see. I think that was that Statistica? Yeah, Statistica. So that was an article written by Statistica. So there you go. All right, family. So that's it. Hopefully we could do a show to give everybody kind of update on what's going and happening here in California before bills get to the governor's desk here. All right. Thanks everyone for joining. Appreciate you. All right. And, here we believe in freedom of speech. And so people can have their opinions. That's up to you. But we're going to keep reporting what we need to report because this is America and everybody has a freedom of speech and freedom of press. And so that's what you got. All right. So once again, this is titled America's Scapegoat. Our Black America's American Freedmen's Scapegoat. And I think we proved without a doubt that, yes, oftentimes, even though Black Americans have nothing to do with anything, for some reason, Black Americans have been thrown underneath the bus historically. So anyway, everybody have a great weekend for yourself. Be safe out there, and we'll see you next time right here on Emin Mass Media Group. And we are out. As always, take care of yourselves. Peace and reparations.
Please move items 71 and 72 to the inactive file.
I just want to know, what did you know about bills not being brought to the floor? There were two critical reparation bills, Senate Bill 1403 and Senate Bill 13.
Forgive me, because there's over 1,000. I'm not very good at the numeric, but
it's gonna. The analysis said it's only a couple $1 million to stand it up.
Peanuts.
And his response was, we want to do it in a different way. We don't want to do it through creating a whole new bureau. We want to do it through the UC system.
So this is Assemblyman Mr. Bryan. He's mad I brought up the reparations vote. So he's preventing me from speaking. And he's trying to block my access to it.
Madam Speaker, I ask that we take up file item 71, SB 1331.
If you decide to start your family tree even without the DNA, 8 or 9 times out of 10, you're going to find your family.
A great number of African Americans can trace their lineage to the period of enslavement.
Lemert was developed by Walter H. Lemert, and in his designing this area, he actually had covenants to where they would not sell to black people.
I supported the bill all session.
Then bring the bill.
Will you vote?
CLBC, can you give them a grade 1 to 10?
This current crop, as of now, it's a negative.
Vote for the bill, Mr.
Bring the bill.
Will you vote for the bill?
Bring it up.
Will you vote for reparations?
Bring it up.
I would love it.
Bring it up.
Let's vote for reparations
Bring
together.
It's a spirit of anti-blackness, and we must call it out. And so I'm going to call out on August 31st, 2024, that the California Legislative Black Caucus, the majority of them, and the governor allowed the enemy to use them to try to keep us down and keep us as bottom class citizens.
Just think that all the other members have at least about 10 years left. So we're not going anywhere.
I've heard it's slightly changed, and some of the advocates who were part of the coalition last go around are now expressing concerns of whether or not they'll still be able to stand behind it if those changes are not corrected.
In so many years, it won't hardly be no black folks left in California. We love y'all, we thank y'all, and we demanding reparations right now.
First of all, America, from the evidence that they gave us, you're guilty.
What happened on August 31st, 2024 was a betrayal.
We know that if we don't have our hand in this process as much as we possibly can, it can be corrupted from the outside. So in terms of our role isn't done until they're issuing the checks for our reparations.
The time for reparations is now.
Yeah. Right now. What do we want?